Hey guys, some of you might have seen a video we made recently about voodoo in Japan. This might be considered a little bit of a follow-on to that. As many of you are already aware, Japanese people are usually very health conscious and also very interested in putting only natural things into their bodies, generally. And also, Japanese people like to follow trends. So whatever everybody is doing, everybody else wants to do too, usually. So if you combine those things, they are a marketing company's dream. As you will notice, if you come to Japan and turn on the television, pretty well any time of day, 24 hours a day, and scan through the channels, you are almost certain to come across at least one of these commercials running on one of the channels, and you might even come across 2 or 3 running on different channels at the same time. And it's these health supplements, or Japanese people call them sapuri, and taking sapuri is very, very common. So it's a huge trend at the moment. Just about everybody's taking sapuri, and so they market them really heavily on television constantly, 24 hours a day. But you also get them if you go to the convenience store or the supermarket. There's always shelves and shelves of little bottles and little powders, and little jelly packs are also popular as well. And they'll usually be vitamins or multivitamins or minerals or energy supplements or all sorts of things like that. They're usually naturally based because Japanese people are very, very conscious of putting only natural things into their bodies. They don't usually want to put chemicals, so usually they have to be naturally based. But, of course, the same debate that people have all around the world as to how much benefit most of these supplements actually give you. And particularly in the case of the Japanese people who are eating really healthy food, it's a bit hard. Oh, this is a classic. This is saying this lady's ringing up the company on that phone number, and there's a very helpful salesperson at the other end who's wearing a white coat who gives her advice. And that's another element of it too. As we've talked about on previous videos, Japanese people tend to listen to whatever advice they're given. And actually in Japanese, people use the word adbaisu, and adbaisu from anybody considered to be knowledgeable on a topic is sort of a naturally programmed instinct to follow it, which again makes Japanese people classic contenders to go along with whatever marketing companies tell them, because they listen, and they tend to be very trusting as well. They don't tend to be very skeptical when it comes to this sort of stuff. So if somebody who looks credible, or particularly if the companies use someone sort of famous. Oh, look at this, guys. The one on the left says glucosamine, and the one on the right says kuragen. And so they're saying glucosamine is no good, kuragen is good. And it's interesting because as you watch these ads, you'll notice that lots of them are actually for glucosamine based products, and the other ones, a lot of them are kuragen based, collagen, sorry. The Japanese pronunciation is kuragen. But again, pushing one or the other, or both, or other versions. And of course, a lot of these things that they're pushing actually come from seafood. There's a lot of the things they're pushing actually come from fish, or come from other seafood, which again, considering how much seafood Japanese people eat, it's a little bit hard to know. As we're constantly debating around the world how much these supplements actually help. So whether they do or not is not really relevant to this video. The video's more about how heavily these things are marketed in Japan. I mean, obviously they're marketed all around the world, these sorts of things, but it's just the market here for it is huge. Anything that's sort of allegedly naturally based, and some 60 or 70-year-old gets up and says it's changing their life. But it's hard not to be skeptical, because obviously the people that they're using, you know, they show these older people sort of walking in the park and eating fish and leading active lifestyles, and obviously that's what's keeping these people, you know, living to healthy old age and keeping them all genki. And again, there's another aspect to it too. Japanese society is obsessed with people being genki, so people being healthy and full of energy. And so, because that means there's a sort of almost a pressure from the people around you to be genki. So again, that adds to why these sorts of commercials are obviously fairly successful. Goes on, doesn't it? And of course, there are a lot of those companies, those marketing companies like Herbalife and all those guys, and Amway and all those guys that have those sorts of lines. They're really big here as well. Eat this, drink this green stuff. It helps with your digestion. So they're usually digestion. They're about good digestion, or they're about you know, keeping your limbs supple, or they're about all that sort of stuff. But of course, you know, with the diets that most Japanese people have, and with the lifestyles that they have, I mean, Japanese people, as we showed you in previous videos, Japanese people naturally stay active for well into their lives, and don't stop until they have to, sort of thing. And that's obviously why Japanese people have some of the longest life expectancies in the world. So, and they had that long before these supplements came out. And you can probably pretty well assume that most of the over 100-year-old people here, if you interviewed them, you'd probably find out that they weren't taking supplements. You know, they didn't get to be 110 by taking sapuri. There's a healthy old dude throwing down lots of raw fish. See, there's the genki thing again. We've mentioned it on a previous video, that if you eat lots of food, and it shows an enthusiasm for life, see? So they're showing this sort of tanned old dude throwing down lots of food. So isn't that healthy? And see, look, there's a classic example. The DHEPA thing, we see that all the time. For sure. Anyway, there it was. Magic potions in Japan. More videos coming soon.